Hello and welcome to Fraser the Backseat Gamer, and today we'll be ranking slash rating slash slightly reviewing all of the Snyderverse slash DCEU films in order to break this cycle of procrastination that I've had successfully going for a couple months now. Because if you look at my channel, I haven't posted a video in a couple months. As we know, SnyderCon is drawing close. Where Zack will be watching the films live in the theater with the fans, and of course doing a Q&A and all that good stuff, and he's gonna have guests and stuff. So as people are talking about the Snyderverse right now, and I haven't really made a video about my overall opinions on the DCEU or the Snyderverse, I've just kind of mentioned them here and there. Plus I'm pretty sure none of you have even seen them since they have little to no views. So yeah, I just thought I'd take this opportunity to really lay out my thoughts on what I think about the Snyderverse and the DCEU as a whole, just where DC and their movies are, or just their entertainment as a whole really is right now. So hopefully the AC isn't making too much noise, because I'm definitely not going to do this again outside because it's really hot. So let's just get things started here. First up, of course, we have the original 2013 Man of Steel, Henry Cavill. Oh boy. And of course, since I'm doing this on my phone, it's going to be a bit tricky to get everything up smoothly, so we're just going to have to like move it upwards eventually. And basically what I think about the start of the Snyderverse, well, I was either like 11 and a half or about 12 when this movie came out. And yeah, we got it on DVD, and and even back then when I had like little taste and like little, I don't know, just like didn't know much about criticism or whatever, or like how to break films down, or what the elements of a film were. Even back then I had mixed feelings about it, and I've seen it like two or three times after that as I got older. And honestly, my stance on the film has honestly stayed the same. I think that it's just a pretty good movie. I like kind of see the flaws already starting in that film, because like Henry Cavill, and it's gonna be like a running theme from now on, Henry Cavill just did not get a chance to play a good Superman. In my opinion, like I've seen the guy in other stuff, so I know that he's a good actor, or even a great actor at that, but he just never really got the chance to really do his thing as Superman, to really like spread his wings, or a cape in this matter, to really give a good performance, because I just think that he was not written well. And just the whole Snyderverse as a whole, this might be an unpopular opinion or something, but I just don't think that the Snyderverse was that well written. There's just huge emphasis on spectacle and just like huge like fast-paced fights and stuff, and just building up tension, but there's not much, or at least in my opinion, not enough attention paid to the characters themselves. I think that the characterizations of almost all of the characters in the Snyderverse were all like minimal, and they just like felt as if there wasn't much energy put into them, as much as the films being spectacles. Like it just felt like it focused way too much on the visuals, way too much on like trying to make these epic battles happen, which is of course like comic accurate and great and all that, but if you don't nail down the writing, if you don't nail down the characters, then it would just all be for nothing, because we'd just be looking at CGI people fighting, and it just wouldn't have as much feeling to it. And that's just a sentiment that I share for the whole Snyderverse, honestly. But from Man of Steel, you know, just to weigh the good and the bad, of course Henry Cavill did the best with what he was given. I liked Isla Fisher, I think she's called, as Lois Lane. I think she basically everyone, there wasn't any bad acting. I would say it's just that everyone does a good job with what they're given. Diane Lane does a great job playing the emotional center of the film as Clark's mother, and just like it's just like I don't know, it just felt it's just a really mixed film for me, in my opinion. I just don't think that they got the tone down right exactly. Like it's a pretty dark film, and by dark I don't mean like violent. Of course there's a lot of destruction and stuff going on, but it's not exactly a violent film. But it's just that like literally the film just looks dark. Like there's an absence of colors, and that wouldn't be a problem if they had just focused on the characters and focused on getting like the writing and the feel of the characters right, and I just don't feel as if they got that right. So Henry Cavill, all of the actors did a great job. I think that the special effects were pretty good. Well, great even, and I like the fight scenes and all, but it's just too long, honestly, and too long for something that doesn't really add up to much in the end. I really liked what's his name, Michael Shannon as Zod, as General Zod. He always plays great villains, and General Zod is no different. That was a really epic battle that him and Cavill had. But just like the film as a whole, it just felt as if the pacing was off a bit. I see how they tried to focus on him growing up and him like not being as active as Superman and stuff. But overall, it just kind of ends up being a bit of an inoffensive, kind of almost time-wasting endeavor, because just like I just couldn't help but not feel for the characters as much as I wanted to, and just not like get a grasp of who they are as characters, because I just feel as if the writing and just how the film like shows them, like it just doesn't do a good job of making them feel like fleshed out human beings and just fleshed out characters. I sincerely don't think that the film did a great job of that. So yeah, that's basically my thoughts on Man of Steel. It just doesn't do that good of a job at the characters, and that kind of ruins it for me. And plus it's a bit overlong and a bit like mixed up with its tone, I think. So yeah, that just didn't work for me. But overall, you know, I'd say thanks to the performances and the special effects and the fights, I said it's a good film. It's a good enough film. You know, you could do way worse than that. Our second came, if I'm not mistaken, Batman v Superman. I'm pretty sure it was in 2015, 16, something like that. Where is it? Batman v Superman. Right there it is. Let's bring that up. And you're probably wondering why I'm stopping here. I mean, like, this is, you know what, I could bump it up at passable. I could bump it up to passable, because Batman v Superman is where I really saw that DC was really kind of rushing things. They were really trying to catch up to Marvel, playing catch up, because at this point Marvel had been going for what, like 5-6 years with their MCU films, and they were just starting, and they really wanted to catch up and like push straight forward to this Justice League thing. And yeah, Batman v Superman just made it really clear where their head was at, and that was to get to the Justice League and get this big billion-dollar movie as fast as humanly possible. And of course, as we all know, that did not work out. Batman v Superman has a lot of the same, well, basically the same problems that Man of Steel had, where the characters just, the feeling just was not there for me. It just really took me out of the experience. Plus, this is where I kind of really got that feeling of them getting the casting wrong for the films. Of course, this is where we got the introduction of Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman and Jason Momoa as Aquaman, but like he's like just in a really small thing where he destroys the camera, and he's like not really actually like being Aquaman and acting and stuff, so we can't really judge him in this. But Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, I would realize it like with her coming movie and with Justice League and stuff, but in like even in this movie, I immediately got the feeling that she was miscast as Diana, as Wonder Woman. And it's no disrespect to her, she is of course absolutely gorgeous, and I've seen her in other I was just about to say I've seen her in other stuff. Of course I've seen her in other stuff. I saw her in the Fast and Furious franchise. That's probably where most people knew her from before Justice League and before she became Wonder Woman. But yeah, that Israeli accent is super duper thick. She cannot hide that at all, and she or at least she didn't even try to hide it or whatever. And yeah, she just doesn't work as Diana. She's just too different, and she just unfortunately does not have the range, in my personal opinion, to play Wonder Woman. Right? Of course she's got the physique, she's in shape and stuff and can run and stuff like that, but she's just not Diana. She's just, I just can't buy her as Wonder Woman. She just does not have the range, she does not have the emotion, she does not have the energetic performance that would be needed to actually pull off a great Wonder Woman. I just don't see it there with her. And of course, we cannot go forward without mentioning Lex Luthor, Jesse Eisenberg, I think his name is Jesse Eisenberg, who played Lex Luthor in this film. Completely miscast, even worse than Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. He just like I just don't know what they were thinking casting this guy as Lex Luthor. All the weird stuff that they make him do, like making it like the piss in the glass and giving her the piss. I don't know what that was, and he just kept mumbling about, and and he just had no menace at all. He just does not work. He just comes off as overly goofy and just like he's trying his best to be like calculating and like almost sociopathical serial killer-ish with his performance, and it just doesn't work in my opinion. I just could not buy him, just like how I couldn't buy Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I cannot buy him as Lex Luthor. It's just too goofy, too over the top. Even though I have liked over the top characters in the past, him as Lex Luthor just could not buy it. He just did not look the part, did not sound the part, was way too sniveling and stuff, and just weak, honestly, because Lex in the comics and in the pretty much every animated depiction of him has always been at least somewhat strong. And of course, like, he's never been like a weakling of course he's a coward to a certain extent, but once he gets an advantage, like he really amps it up, like with his like charisma and bravado, and that's just something that Jesse did not have for the role of Lex Luthor. So I can appreciate his effort, but he was just simply miscast. And of course we have Batfleck, Ben Affleck as the Batman. Like Henry Cavill, he did not get a chance to prove himself. He did not get a chance to show whether or not he could actually play the role of Bruce Wayne or the Batman, because he's in his big clunky suit and he's going around and stuff. But just like Henry Cavill Superman, it's just like the character, the feel of the character. even though it's dark, even though it's brooding, even though it's obviously Batman, I just don't feel the character. I don't have a grasp of the character. I really like getting a hold of what the filmmaker is trying to show with this character, and the only thing that I see are these good to great fight scenes, are these special effects, are these like atmospheric, like epic music, like epic shots and stuff, trying to make this big epic spectacle of everything. And of course, like, you know, these are superheroes and supervillains, so of course you could make them a spectacle, but you still need to get the characters down, you still need to get the characters right. And I just don't feel as if, you know, just like with Man of Steel, that they got the characters right with this one. And with like what else, yeah, just like I said earlier, with it having similar problems to Man of Steel, where it just feels too bloated. It is way too long, and it's just like it's filled to the brim with stuff that just does not need to be there. Like, why would you fuse Death of Superman with Batman versus Superman? Like, it's supposed to be Batman versus Superman. Why why is, darn, I forgot what's his name, Apocalypse? Yeah, why is Apocalypse here? Why is Apocalypse looks goofy in here too. Like, I just did not like his design at all, but small nitpick compared to everything else. Now, of course, the one big positive that I can give to this film, of course, the performances. Again, everyone gives a pretty good job at their performance. It's just too bloated, and of course, I have to give props to the fight, to the Batman like warehouse fight scene, which has been hailed as the best Batman fight scene in live action so far. And I honestly would have to agree, it is pretty epic. It is really heavy and very violent, and just a really satisfying, well done, well choreographed, well paced and set fight. But that's the only time of like true excitement that I got from this film. Even the Apocalypse fight, in my opinion, was underwhelming. The Batman versus Superman fight was, you know, it had some good spots, but of course we cannot forget Martha. That was such a corny, cringe scene. Well, okay, that's a bit too harsh in my opinion. It's not corny or cringe. It just felt weird. Honestly, it's just a weird scene and a weird sentiment to try and link the two of them. Like Martha, like his mother's name is Martha, and his mother's name is Martha. Really, that's such a, yeah. You know what? It is corny. It really is a corny thing to do. But it did give us that really great Batman warehouse fight scene. But other than that, it's just like, it's just too much. It's just too much time wasted, too much time spent trying to pack everything into this one, like, what is it, 3 hours for the like director's cut, I think it's called, or the ultimate edition, whatever it's called, and like 2.5 hours for the regular version, which is still too much because they try to shove so much stuff in there, and it's just too bloated. It's just too compact. Sorry about that. It's just too much. All right, it's just too much with just a lot of time in there, and it's just not well done. It's just not a really well done film in my opinion. So yeah, let's move on to the next film. We're just gonna leave that at passable at best because it's not bad, it's not good. I wouldn't call it average. I'm leaning closer to bad than good, but whatever. So passable at best, mixed feelings about it, so I'll just leave it there. We have next Suicide Squad 2016, the original. Where is it? Okay, there it is. Now, of course, this is one that we can all agree on. This is one that we can all get behind. Okay, let's just leave that right there. Suicide Squad was another big deal because it's one of these things where prior to this movie, Suicide Squad was not popular outside of the DC universe. The performances overall are actually good, especially Margot Robbie and Will Smith. Margot Robbie, of course, as a great Harley Quinn. Will Smith plays a great Deadshot. And of course, who can forget Viola Davis plays a really, really great Amanda Waller. She was practically born to play the role. Jared Leto as the Joker. I can see Jared Leto being a great Joker, but honestly, in this film, of course, as pretty much every review would tell you about it, it just feels badly written. Like the whole tattoos on the face, grills in the mouth, that like haircut that he has, and just like the weird way how he's acting, it just came off as cringe and came off as really, really try hard for him to be like a gangster, to like come off as a gangster, and he just did not work overall in the film. He wasn't exactly miscast. He was just like miswritten. I think it just wasn't a good idea to make the character that way, in my opinion. But everyone else did a good job acting. The special effects range from okay to pretty bad. That final fight scene with the guy who does the fire thing versus I think it's the Enchantress. I'm pretty sure it's the Enchantress. Cara Delevingne as the Enchantress. Yeah, pretty sure that was her. That fight scene was terrible. The CGI was absolutely horrible. Even at the time, being a kid, I'm pretty hyped to see the movie overall because of how great the trailers were. Even I could admit at the time, even with my low taste, that this was a bad movie. And even with 2 or 3 rewatchings later on in life, it still is a bad movie. Yeah, it is really, really bad. It's even though it had pretty much the right cast and the right the right cast, the special effects just weren't up to whack a lot of the time. The villain was not interesting at all. Oh wow, I just don't remember much about the film, do I? Well, or at least in terms of discussing how bad it is. Yeah, it just was a bad idea. It just didn't come together, honestly. Like that's the best that I can do at this point, honestly. It just didn't come together. It's been a while since I've watched it, but obviously bad. Like, who cares? It's bad. Whatever. Next up, Wonder Woman. Ah, yes, Wonder Woman. In my opinion, and please don't take this the wrong way, in my humble opinion, honestly, Wonder Woman is one of the most overrated films of all time. If the reception online is to be believed, this is most definitely one of the most overrated films of all time, because I've watched it two or three times, just like all of these movies here. Well, except for Black Adam. And it just comes up to being a, you know what, I can bump it up to average. It's an average movie. I'm not gonna say that it's as bad as Justice League. I mean, as bad as Batman v Superman. It just was not that bad. But yeah, my whole thing with the original Wonder Woman is that it's just very underwhelming. You know, like the World War II setting is fine, but it just wasn't as epic or as big as it could have been, honestly, in my humble opinion. Like, it just like everything else, it just didn't get the feeling of the characters right, in my opinion. It just did not get the feeling down. Chris Pine pretty much carries this entire film, honestly. Like, all right, my biggest complaint with Wonder Woman is just that Gal Gadot, again, just like I said about Batman v Superman, Gal Gadot, I just can't buy her as Wonder Woman. I can't buy her as Diana. She just does not have that charisma. She does not have that range. She's just not that great of an actress. I'm sorry, because she is such a likable person. You know, for the limited information that I know about her, she seems nice. She's freaking gorgeous, so of course I can't not like her. But it's like, you know, she just doesn't have that range. She just doesn't have that charisma. She's just woefully miscast in this role. And I just really felt rubbed the wrong way how they did what is it, Ares is the god of war, right? Yeah, Ares is the god of war. Yeah, they just really messed up Ares in this film, because I have very fond memories of the 2009 animated film. There's this DC, like, straight to DVD Wonder Woman movie that I definitely recommend that you check out. It is darn near perfect, honestly, and I was expecting that. That's what I was hyped to see. Like when they said, "Oh, Ares is gonna be the main villain. Ares, the god of war, is gonna be the main villain, and there's gonna be this epic battle between them." And that just did not end up happening. The final battle was so underwhelming. Gosh, it's hot in here even with the freaking AC. Yeah, that just ended up not being the case. It just ended up being a really underwhelming picture, a really underwhelming adventure overall. Just Gal Gadot cannot be bought, in my opinion, as Wonder Woman. I just can't buy her. She's terribly miscast as Diana. I cannot stress that enough. And pretty much everything else about the film was mediocre. It's got good special effects. The Wonder Woman theme is really good. But honestly, that's about it. The side characters are okay. Chris Pine is carrying this film on his back. He carries this film all the way to his death in the end, saving the world with that airplane. And yeah, I just could not buy Gal Gadot, and they really threw me off with Ares. So yeah, that just makes it an average film, in my opinion. It's really overrated. Even when people explain why they like this film, I just can't get behind it as much as they are. I mean, like, as much as they get behind it. I mean, so yeah, it's just an average movie, in my opinion. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Oh yes, the original. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah. This one. Oh boy. You know what? We could just leave that right there. Yeah. I'm not even joking. We can just leave that. You know what? Was it that bad? Was it really that bad? Can I really justify leaving that right there? Honestly, I don't know. What was it? Trash? Worse than Suicide Squad? I don't know. I don't think I could justify it being trash, honestly. It is really bad. I'm like I might change my mind, but I don't know. I just can't. Justice League was one of the biggest disappointments of my entire life. Oh boy. 2017, Zack Snyder. This let me know immediately that, with all respect, all love to the guy, he seems like such a great, sweet guy, but it just let me know that Zack Snyder was not the man for the job. Alright, now, obviously this is not his vision. All right, we're gonna get to his like true vision at first, but some of the stuff, most of the stuff is in here as well. But this is the film that let me know that DC was just lagging behind. They they desperately wanted to catch Marvel, and they did it. Well, they tried to do it in the cheapest and most bloated and most just dumbest way possible, and it's to pack as much as they possibly can into one film, and this absolute trashterpiece came out as a result. Where do I even start with the Justice League? Like this movie is just okay. Let's start with the basics here. Special effects were pretty bad. The design for the villain, which I cannot even remember the guy's name, but the design was bad. Length of the film way too long for no reason. Well, I mean for a good reason, but it's still, even though it's long, it's just too bloated of a film. And again, for me, the biggest problem is just the characterization here. All right. Well, before we get into that, because that is my biggest problem, let's stick to the small problems first. After the special effects, we have casting. Again, miscast. Ezra Miller. What a bad decision that turned out to be, didn't it? Ezra Miller as the Flash was a terrible decision. Even before all the stuff that he did, all the weird and bad stuff that he did after becoming the Flash, just him here as the Flash is terribly miscast. He is way too over the top, way too goofy, just desperately stringing, just desperately grabbing at every single line possible to try and get a laugh out of the audience, and it just produces nothing but cringe. It's such a corny performance. Honestly, it's gosh, why did they pay this guy? What, I just can't understand the logic behind it. Why did they pick Ezra Miller of all people as a Flash? He looks nothing like Barry Allen. All right, he's not even brown or blonde haired, or was it red? No, who freaking cares? All right, he is not Barry Allen. He's not even, what's the other guy's name? I don't even remember the other guy's name, but whatever. He's not Barry Allen. He just grabs desperately at every opportunity for a joke and does not catch anything but groans and eye rolling. All right, he's just really bad. Gal Gadot again is miscast. Honestly, come on now. Do we even have to say this again? All right, I've said it in 2 films now. She is miscast as Wonder Woman. She just cannot get the job done. I'm sorry, because I really like her. She is a very likable personality, a very likable actress. I can never say that I hate her in anything, even when she's doing just an okay job, because she seems like such a sweet person, right? But she's just not Diana. She's just not Wonder Woman. She does not have the charisma. She just doesn't have the energy. She just doesn't have the range to play that character, in my humble opinion. So yeah, that's Ezra Miller and Gal Gadot miscast. Aquaman, honestly, in this film, I was pretty mixed on him, with the whole bro energy that he was giving off. I was not sure that was gonna work, but spoilers, well, at least for my thing on Aquaman, I really liked him as Aquaman, even though as I get older, authenticity means a lot to me. All right, the characters being of the same race as their comic book counterparts, them having similar looks as well, of course. That really means a lot to me as time goes on, because who are you making these movies for? You're making them for the fans, and if you make those changes for nothing basically because you went out of your way to do those things, then it just gets in the way of the story that you're trying to tell, whichever story that may be. And even though Jason Momoa is, not blonde and blue-eyed just like the regular Aquaman that we see all the time, he still does a really good job. Come on now, I can't hate on the guy. He's really likable himself, and he's he's just a fun-loving guy. He's a funny guy. He's just a cool guy. He's just a cool guy. That's who's playing the film. Batman. Ooh, Batman. Batfleck returns here, and just like in Batman v Superman, he's just, I just don't have a grasp on the character. I just don't know who this is. Like, I can see that it's Batman. I can see that it's Bruce Wayne and Alfred and stuff, but again, like the writing's just not there. The stop moving the camera. The characterization is just not there with these characters. They just feel so flat, so one-dimensional. Just, they have no chemistry. Well, of course, since they're just starting out, of course they're not gonna have chemistry. Like, what am I thinking about? But they just don't seem grounded within themselves. They just seem like just planks of wood walking through this film. Gosh, production on this film must have been absolutely horrible. I cannot imagine what they must have gone through to make this film. Cyborg, of course. Cyborg was a big part of the, well, he was supposed to be an even bigger part of the film, but Cyborg, he, just like all the other characters, well, out of everyone here, Cyborg is the worst written. He just, and no offense to the actor that plays him, because again, I haven't seen him in anything else, so I can't judge his acting skills, but everyone here is just dealing with bad writing. All right, Henry Cavill's back as Superman again. Bad writing. It just, I just can't feel for these characters. It's really hard for me to get invested and to just feel anything. Just feel. I just want to feel something for these characters, and I'm not feeling the Flash. I'm not feeling Cyborg. I'm not feeling Batman. I'm not feeling Aquaman. I'm just not feeling anyone. Like the characterization and the writing is just so bad. They did such a bad job, like, bringing these characters to life. It just does not. It just doesn't mix well. It just turns out bloated. The special effects are pretty mediocre. It's just bad. It's just such an overall bad film. Only positive being, performances are generally okay, except for Ezra Miller, who's just annoying throughout the entire thing. And yeah, that's about it. It's just bad all around. Honestly, just hurts my head just thinking about it. Just how bad every decision, everything with this film was. It was just bad. Characterization, writing, just not there. Yeah, I'm just talking in circles now because I just keep thinking about those problems all again with the miscasting and just the bad writing and everything, and it just did not work out. It just didn't work out. It's just such a really bad film, almost trash in my opinion. So I'm gonna just leave it there. Okay, what came next? Was it Aquaman or Harley Quinn that came next? I'm pretty sure it was Aquaman. Right, James Wan's Aquaman. Give me 1 second. Alright, James Wan's Aquaman. Let's get you up to the top. Tippity top. There we go. Aquaman, in my opinion, without a doubt, is the best DCEU film. It's also the highest grossing one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, yes, it's the highest grossing one. And it's for good reason, because it's just like Indiana Jones-esque, like just really fun adventure film. I really love the special effects. And it's just a really fun movie overall. Jason Momoa, out of the bad writing of whoever wrote those other Snyderverse films, does a really great job here. Finally, he's able to really embrace that whole bro energy thing. I really love the gold costume. I really like the villain, even though it's a pretty one-dimensional villain. Like, there's not much to him other than just regular Ocean Master stuff. He wants to take over the world or whatever. And yeah, it's just a really well done film. Amber Heard, you know, she's here. She's okay, you know, whatever. No need to talk about her. Willem Dafoe, of course, does a great job in everything. Nicole Kidman does a good job. Yeah, just an overall really fun, like, underwater swashbuckling, just really weird, really fun action comedy. Yeah, just it's a really great ride, honestly. It's the best that the DC films has been able to do, which is proven with its box office and with its reception, which is second only to Wonder Woman, even though it's actually better than Wonder Woman in my opinion. So yeah, it's just a really fun, really fun film. Not much to break down about it, so it's just a really fun film, honestly. So not much to do with that one. Let's move on to Shazam. Shazam, I thought, was just a good movie. It's just a good movie, in my opinion. Shazam with Zachary Levi. When it came out, I didn't really have high hopes for it. I thought it was pretty okay until he started flossing. It was pretty sure he was flossing. Was it yeah, it was pretty sure it was flossing. He was like flossing and dabbing and stuff in it. Oh, that just really put me off about it. But when I actually watched the film, past that scene, it was a really fun, really nice family superhero film. You know, it's just a okay, like, fun superhero film with a great cast of characters, really sweet kids, really heartwarming story of a young orphan becoming a superhero and finding a family. The movie didn't make that much money, but the budget, of course, wasn't that much, so it didn't really matter. So it was considered a success. But at this time, I did see the writing on the wall with Zachary Levi as Shazam instead of calling him Captain Marvel, of course, where he just played the character up a bit too much. He just got too goofy. He just like Ezra Miller, he went too over the top with the comedic nature of the character, because the Flash and Shazam are both comedic characters, but Shazam is not a child. Shazam is a grown man. Well, at least like when he transformed into. Of course, Batson is a teenager and stuff, but even Batson isn't this like joyful, like, oh, look at me, I've got these like crazy superpowers that I can like fly and shoot lightning and stuff and floss. Like he doesn't floss. He doesn't do that stuff. So why would they make him even more childish as this grown adult looking guy? They literally seem like two different people when it's supposed to be a reflection of the other, because I have seen a few different in incarnations of Shazam, as they call him, or Captain Marvel in the, well, not the comics, of course. I haven't gotten my hands on those, but I've seen some incarnations of him in animation. Like, for example, in Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, where he's played as this like egotistical sort of, but still like pretty serious about himself superhero, like he's smiling and like kind of sort of joking, but like serious, and that makes sense. And then of course in the later like Justice League, Doom, Justice League, War, those like line of DCEU films where he does have more of a comedic edge to him, where he is more childish, and his more teenager side does come through in his Shazam, form. Even then, he's like understandably kind of sort of goofy, but not like over the top, overblown, just like cringy, flossing, like look at my superpowers, let's buy beer and stuff. Like he's not that over the top goofy. That's just too much. That's just, yeah, it's just too much with the character. But in this film in particular, it worked okay. Have not seen Shazam, Fury of the Gods, I'm pretty sure it's called. Have not seen that one yet, but I've heard that it's coming on digital, or at least streaming, like within a month or two. So I might just wait for it, honestly. Instead of going to the theaters this time around. So yeah, just overall it's just a sweet, good, fun action family superhero movie. So if that's what you're looking for, then it's it's practically harmless. It's fine, it's good. It's hard to hate on something like that. After that, we got, oh boy, real stinker coming up. We got the Birds of Prey movie, ladies and gentlemen. Birds of Prey, where we finally got to see Margot Robbie do her thing solo. Now, if you thought that she worked great as a side character in the Suicide Squad 2016 David Ayer movie, then do you think that she'll work great as a solo film? No, she did not. I'm really tempted to put this one in the trash category, but looking back, it wasn't that bad. Like, of course, as you can see here, I did think that it was bad, but not that bad. So, yeah. So basically, the problems with this movie, the choreography looks a bit too choreographed, like it looks a bit too rehearsed. The way how she takes out the bad guys, because let's just be honest, Margot Robbie's not this like tall, domineering, athletic. Well, like she's athletic, but she's not like muscular or anything. So yeah, just like the way how she like how she took out those cops at the police station. It although it was fun and stuff, it just was not believable in the slightest. And the movie honestly just doesn't add up to much. Like, when I think about what I didn't like about these movies, a lot of the time it's not even that it's like offensively bad. It's just that they just don't add up to much of anything. They just don't come up to much at all. Yeah, this one just felt weird, and it just did not come together. Like, it's just like a cat and mouse thing with Black Mask chasing Harley Quinn to find this diamond that the kid has, and yeah, the action doesn't add up to much. There isn't much spectacle here. It's just, honestly, a lot of the times the film looked and felt pretty cheap and pretty minimal, as if it was meant to be like a, almost like a piece, like a Peacemaker-esque like miniseries kind of is how I felt. Not sure what the budget was. Not like it made it back or anything like that, but it just did not work. One thing that I can say that is good about the movie though, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Huntress. I would have liked for her to wear the costume. I think she would look astounding in that costume, but just they didn't give her the costume. But just like her whole like build up, her whole like backstory on how she's this like sheltered, socially awkward killer. I really liked that. It was pretty funny in my opinion. Most people found her pretty dry, but I think that she did a great job with the dry humor that they gave her in the film. It was pretty good, pretty fun, her part at least, but she came in right at the end, so was not enough to save the film as a whole. The acting from everyone is pretty good, except for the kid. The kid was bad, but it's a kid, so what are you gonna expect, right? And honestly, that's basically it about the film. Just like I said, all of these just basically come up to just being underwhelming and sort of like not that like memorable experiences. That's basically what it came up to, right? And you could really feel the difference of Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn being a side character versus a main character. I just don't feel as if Harley Quinn as a character is significant or just weighted in enough to carry a film on her own as a character. Kind of like how I feel about Deadpool, even though like the Deadpool movies aren't bad, but I just still don't feel convinced in like to watch them over and over again, because about halfway through both of them I get tired of the character, and that's how I felt about this film with all this. Just how the character is set up, it's just the way how the character is. Like it's not like they're playing against the characters. It's just that quipping all the time, doing all this like banter all the time and stuff like that, all this cheeky banter all the time as a main character just doesn't work in my opinion, or at least it would just have to be better written to work in my opinion. So yeah, it was just a pretty bad movie, honestly. That's it. So after Birds of Prey, we have a movie that I have not seen, unfortunately. I did not watch Wonder Woman 1984. I heard how bad it was, and honestly, from the trailers, I just wasn't interested. I was getting tired of the DCEU just messing stuff up at that point, because I am, biased towards DC since I grew up watching them mostly as opposed to Marvel. But yeah, they just kept pushing me away, like with just all these average and bad movies. So did not watch Wonder Woman 1984, so I will not be able to speak on that, although I can pretty much safely assume that it sucks. After that, we had in 2021 Zack Snyder's Justice League. Of course, this is Zack Snyder's vision. Oh crap, no, wrong place. Well, not wrong place, but wrong time. The lead up to Zack Snyder's Justice League was really, really special. I had never seen the like such a modern coming together of a fan base to just really push one guy's vision forward, because they just wanted to see it so much, and they felt that he was done so dirty that this guy's vision just had to be seen, and that was Zack Snyder's vision. And honestly, I had little to no idea, even when Justice League came out, and I heard all about the production issues and stuff, and how director left because of family issues, and the other came in and just, like totally butchered stuff, right? But neither of them were in much of a position to make the best film that they could have possibly made. Even then, I just kind of looked at it as another, like sad Hollywood, production hell story. But just the way how they picked this one guy, this one guy as the underdog, and they've been writing for him ever since, is a pretty beautiful thing to see, because of just how united and just how, everyone wants to see this vision come true, even though I'm not one of them exactly. And the result of that, the result of the massively trending hashtag restore the Snyderverse and release the Snyder Cut, we actually got the Snyder Cut. He got the money to do the reshoots, and he even shot some shots in his own backyard, and that's how we finally got his vision of the film. And while it was definitely better than the original, like, theatrical cut of the film, it still was not good in my opinion. Of course, as a lot of people pointed out, there are some noticeable enhancements, like the visual style of the film, just the overall pacing and the overall feel of the film felt more cohesive. It made more sense. The added scenes gave more levity to the characters. It just everything worked better, is what I would basically say. Everything that's positive about the original cut is even better in the Zack Snyder cut. But with that being said, the problems that were in the first cut are still in the Zack Snyder cut. All right, the characterization, how these characters are written, it's still bad in my opinion. I still don't have a grip on who these characters are. I still don't have or feel any sort of connection with them as these heroes. I see them as, like the films portraying them as these, like, larger than life figures, and these, like, almost like action figures in a sense, is what I would liken them to, like, how the film is treating them exactly, because of how little they actually feel like actual, like, like smart human beings, or like smart creatures. They just don't feel that way. They just, I don't know, like it. I don't know if Zack wrote these films. I haven't even checked the credits, so I'm not gonna say if he did or didn't, but he's just not getting the characterizations right, and that's what's bringing the films down for me. All right, Ezra is still annoying as the Flash. He's still woefully miscast. Gal Gadot still miscast. Aquaman, compared to how he was in the original, is still pretty much the same. Cyborg is better because they added more scenes with him and his father and stuff, showing how his whole journey comes about and stuff, so he feels more fleshed out. He's the one that got the most flesh, and honestly needed the most flesh, like most fleshed out characterization. But still, at the end of the day, like the stuff with Superman and with Batman, and like, even with all of those additions, and with everything being, well, at least presumably everything being the way how Zack wants it to be, it's still not that good of an experience in my opinion. Even though everything makes more sense, everything looks better, everything feels better as a whole, it's still not that good. It's still pushing for this spectacle, pushing for this epicness, when there aren't any like solid characters to really latch onto. Like there's not much to really latch onto with the film, in my opinion, and that's what keeps driving me away from Zack Snyder's films. It's just the characters seem pretty one-dimensional. They seem as if they're just there to just serve their purpose and not be much more other than just action figures to kind of act out the story in a way. So yeah, what else was I gonna oh yeah, positives. Sorry, I almost forgot the positives. Of course, the acting overall is still pretty good with the cast. Pretty much my favorite, well, was it my favorite? Yeah, I think my favorite sequence in the film would have been with the Amazon warriors when they were protecting the box from the main villain guy, who looks way better with way better CGI way better special effects this time around. Like that scene where they're protecting the box and trying not to let it get into his hands, and the place caving in on them, and they're riding away, and there's this huge epic battle. I know that's a great scene. Now that whole sequence there was great. I felt something. I actually did, even though we don't know much about Wonder Woman's mother, even though we don't find out much about her. I like, because of how the story played out, because of, I don't know, just something about that scene felt different. It felt like it felt better. I mean, like, the characterization felt better in that scene than it did in any other part of the film, with even like the main Justice League characters who have more screen time. They don't feel as fleshed out somehow as the 10 to 15 minute sequence that we have with these Amazon warriors protecting the box from falling into the wrong hands. Like, I felt more for those warriors in that scene protecting the box than I did for the Justice League saving the entire world, because they just weren't written well. They just don't feel as if they were written with like personality and just like a standout nature in mind. It just feels as if they're action figures, in my opinion. And yeah, that's just the best analogy that I can come up for it. It's just action figures. That's what it feels like. It just doesn't feel as if Zack nailed the characters that well. So yeah, it's definitely, obviously better than the first film. I mean, than the first version of the film, but that just ends up with it being average. In my humble opinion, it doesn't feel good. So yeah, let's move on. Almost done here. Next up, we have the Suicide Squad, which is when James Gunn came in to the DCEU. Let's move this one up. Yes, even farther up. You know what? Did I like it that much? Did I like it? Was it better than just? Yeah, it was, honestly. Yeah, it was great. It was great. This is a very rewatchable film. I might be the only one who feels this way about the movie, but obviously it's leagues better than the 2016 version. Harley Quinn is okay. This film just embraces the goofiness of the Suicide Squad, like with them being like expendable and replaceable, basically replaceable warriors, and just like how they're picked off at the start of the film was really funny. Just the whole film is it's a really fun action comedy sort of movie. James Gunn does a really great job, I think, with selling the characters. You can definitely see how he does better with the writing. Oh, well, you can't compare it to the Snyderverse really, because it's like they're going for two different tones. I get it, but still, James Gunn does a better job with writing these characters here. Even to the smaller ones, like with Pete David and that like Weasel guy. Even those are likable and memorable characters. When I can't even like think of a moment where I felt much for the Justice League characters in Zack Snyder's films. But anyway, the Suicide Squad was just a really fun and really great action comedy. John Cena, Idris Elba, Margot Robbie, and others. Sylvester Stallone as King Shark. All do a great job. Really like the special effects. Really like the whole fun, raunchy attitude of the film. I think that they nailed the tone of it all really, really well down. And I think that it's just a really well made action comedy overall, in my opinion, in my humble opinion. So yeah, it's a great movie. Honestly, I would not say it's as rewatchable as, let me honestly, I say that it's great where it is in the great category, right neck and neck with Aquaman. I consider them both to be the best here. Black Adam, in my opinion, is a bad movie. Alright, I've seen a bunch of 5s and 6s and 5.5s out of 10. It's always between a 5 and a 6 out of 10 with most people when it comes to Black Adam. But honestly, I just did not like it even that much. Honestly, it was just everything that was wrong with the Snyderverse, everything that was wrong with the previous DCEU films, all wrapped up in a neat little bow for Black Adam. Let's get the positives out of the way here. Pierce Brosnan deserved a way better film. Absolutely killed it as Dr. What's his name? Dr. Fate. Does a great job as the Sorcerer Supreme, Dr. Fate. Everyone else does a pretty good job with what they're given. I liked the uncle, like the little kid's uncle. I thought he was pretty funny. And this was just generally around the time when I started kind of second guessing everything about movies, because of how and I'm not gonna say the W word, all right? I'm not gonna use that word because that word's being used out of it's not the actual meaning of that word, so I'm not gonna say woke, all right? It's not woke exactly. It's just badly written, try hard social commentary stuff, basically. And I said a few things in my Black Adam review that I haven't seen anyone else talk about, and I've watched a couple reviews of it. No one's talked about what I talked about, and it's basically just a couple lines of dialogue, or just a bit of a hypocritical tone that I kind of spotted in the film, that I saw in the film, in my humble opinion. But yeah, just overall, it's just a bad movie. The Rock, we've been waiting for years to see this guy play Black Adam. He finally plays Black Adam, and he is just a really boring, really bland character. Yeah, it's just every superhero movie cliche, everything that has been fatiguing people about the MCU and with the DCEU for the past 5-6 years now, all culminated in this one film. The jokes are cringy. There isn't one funny moment except for all of the uncle's jokes are kind of funny. The action, way too heavy on special effects, and the special effects aren't even that good. Villain, terrible, devil villain, just doesn't stand out at all. Just doesn't do much of anything. Honestly, just comes and goes. A bunch of stupid decisions made by the characters. It's just a whole conglomerate. Just badly written characters. The dialogue's bad. It's just, yeah, everything. Just all of the problems, all the cringy jokes, all of the tired tropes, everything just wrapped up in a neat little bow, in a neat little bundle, and called Black Adam. The movie flopped, the movie bombed. Good riddance, honestly. And yeah, that's just my basic feelings about it. So yeah, that's basically where I am. If like, I've got more to say about Black Adam, but I've already done a full like review on it. So if you're interested, you could just watch that on my channel. Don't be lazy. It's one of my most recent videos, so you'll find it pretty easy just by clicking on my channel. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts on the DCEU. It's pretty disappointing when you look at it. Alright, you've got 4 bad films, 1 passable film, 2 average films, 2 good films, and 2 great films, honestly. And honestly, you could just chalk it up to it being just what 2 out of 11 or 12 films, or probably 13 at this point, thanks to Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Just 2 good films, Aquaman and the Suicide Squad. And honestly, with things being rebooted, can things be saved if they choose to save them? Yeah, sure, but honestly, with the way how things have been going for years, I just don't think that's a smart decision that they would be making at this point in time. They seem pretty focused on this reboot, so hopefully things turn out good there. Because like I said, I'm admitting it right here, right now, I am biased towards DC. No matter how good Marvel is, I will always be biased towards DC because of how I grew up. I grew up watching Justice League. I grew up watching Justice League Unlimited, Superman the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Teen Titans, Young Justice, just everything. But like 10, 12, 20 different straight to DVD masterpieces that do not get enough recognition. That's what I grew up on. That's what I grew up watching 10, 20 different times, begging my parents to watch it over and over again because of how much I loved the entire universe. And to see them fail this badly with live action films is really just a sad and depressing thing to see. So hopefully they get their act together. Hopefully with this new universe, they're going to be more focused on characterization, focused on getting these characters right, because the visuals are there, of course, but the characters are not there. Alright, and as far as Zack Snyder, before I close out this video because it's been going too long already, as far as my thoughts on Zack Snyder, I like the guy. Alright, just like everyone else, I like Zack Snyder. I can't think of a reason why I shouldn't like the guy. Alright, Army of the Dead was, you know what, let's not get into Army of the Dead. But as far as the Snyderverse, as far as Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League, it just does not work for me. It just does not work for me. The spectacle is there. Because it's obvious what he wants. He wants these films to be spectacles. He wants them to be these grand, epic scale kind of stuff. Almost like the epic high moments of an Avengers film, of Guardians of the Galaxy, when they saved the whole universe and stuff with those epic final battles and stuff. It feels like that's the epic finalistic, like, spectacular scenery that he's kind of going for all the time, but he just doesn't get the characters down. And if you don't get the characters down right, or at least good enough, then it's all for nothing, because at least for me personally, I don't feel anything. I just have to feel something. Alright, I don't need nuanced, like overly explained storytelling, some deep arcs or anything like that. I just need to understand. I need to just grasp something solid. And with these characters, the way like the actors are doing the best that they can, but they can only do so much because the dialogue's not there. And just how the film portrays them as characters is just not there. They're treated as action figures to get to the next epic spectacle, the next dramatic, like slow motion fight scene, the next, like, you know, just the next spectacle in the film that he wants to show. But it just the characters, the feel of them is just not there, in my personal opinion. That's my problem with Zack Snyder. That's why I don't recommend his DC films, why I don't like, well, particularly like his DC films. Man of Steel is the best one in my opinion, because it's the least bloated and it's got a great villain. It's got the only good villain, in my opinion, out of all the films. Everything else, it's just a bunch of miscasting and just a bunch of just like bloat and just like just a bunch of bad decisions and just a bad characterizations, in my opinion. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts about the DCEU. They could have definitely done better, but with the reboot, as things are going on, hopefully things get better. If they don't, then oh well. I can always go back and watch Superman, Batman, Public Enemies about 1,000 times anyway. That's what I want to do anyway, and that's what I might do this very second as soon as I end the video anyway. So yeah, feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. Thank you for everything. Please check out my other videos. Please don't let this bomb. I spent a lot of time on this. Please help me. Thank you for helping me break my procrastination cycle. Goodbye.